3, 2, 1. And come on, let's vape. Welcome to the VAbE, the podcast, or the VAbE experience.
And we are live. Good morning, good day, good evening to all of the listeners. We are the VAbE, the podcast, and we stand by very strongly with our abbreviation that's values, awareness, balance, and experience. And I'm here bringing to you a very special podcast, which we are trying to cover up something which you would only need while you're having your fat loss journey, the only podcast you would ever need. We're talking about certain essentials today. And yep, without any further ado, let me quickly begin with the folks in the room with me today. I've got Varun.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Yep. And I've got someone very special. He goes by Ganesh Sahu. He has been my fitter coach and my a very, very core and a crucial part of my own fitness journey. He helped me through a lot during those times. But as an individual, he is a software engineer and a lifestyle coach by profession. And at the same time, he is an INFS certified coach. So, yep, he knows what he is sort of talking about, and he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to fitness, when it comes to sort of having the right lifestyle there. So Ganesh, welcomes to the VAbE podcast, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Virat, and I hope like all the listeners are happy and healthy. And here I am to help you out with whatever little knowledge I have been able to consume in all my journey.
Yeah, I mean he's just being a bit sincere, but I know I have sort of had my regular share of conversations with him. He has plethora of knowledge when it goes to sort of having the right sort of food or even the right amount of lifestyle that you may want to maintain to achieve your own overall goals. But Ganesh, my quick sort of question to you would be if you could, sort of maybe talk more about your own personal fitness journey and how things have been for you.
Yeah, so there are like majorly few reasons normally youngsters would start their fitness journey. Me
Yeah.
being a youngster back then, that's why I'm referring to youngsters. But then there are different phases when people begin their fitness journey.
Right.
So if you just talk about me, I started my fitness journey just because it was like a mix of 2-3 different instances. One being I felt like I felt very complex looking at all the bodybuilders that used to come in the gym. Obviously, I shouldn't be comparing myself with them
Right.
being at that stage.
Right.
But I used to feel like I should also be like them one day, and I used to try to make friends with them. Some of them were like very kind, some of them were like not very kind. But then I was like, okay, so these are the kind of people I need to become, the kind ones, and these are the kind of people I should be becoming, the unkind ones.
Exactly. And
So-
at least you come to know, right? As in what you want to be and what you definitely don't want to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's why like I'm not like saying that such one kind of people are good and the other kind of people are bad. Both of them give you lessons. So that was like one thing about me, and then I started just doing it. But more than motivation, I would say like I just started building habits, and eventually it converted into a routine, and then
Right.
I without even me realizing, years passed, and now it's been like my 5.5 years, 5.5 years, and I'm into this.
Right. So, I mean, during your times, were you, how would you put yourself as? I mean, were you, say, having a lot of fat on your body as such, or how was your journey been? I mean, in terms of your transformation.
Okay, so when I began,
Yeah.
it wasn't the normal way of looking at physical fitness. Normally, physical
Right.
fitness is looked at in a way that people have to lose fat. That's like the majority of the case in our country, and obviously around the globe. But then in my case, it was opposite. I had to gain muscles. I was very thin. I was very skinny, and I
Right.
had to gain muscle, look bulky and beefy. But then over a period of time, I realized that this is a cyclical process. The more you gain muscle, you also gain fat, and then you have to start cutting down on fat. And then once you cut fat, you again look skinny, and then you again have to bulk. And then
Correct.
this is actually a cyclical process.
No, so for the listeners, I mean, you should definitely hit up Ganesh. I will mention his Instagram handle in the description. and definitely see the transformation he has done for himself and also for his own mentees or the clients that he has. And it's been terrific the way I've seen it, and that was kind of an inspiration to even sort of start off my personal fitness journey along with you. So that was kind of the idea where I was typically coming from. So without maybe say another further set of ados, let's try and quickly create something around today's topic. So we were talking about say the essentials that someone might just need in terms of their own fat loss or maybe a muscle gain journey and have a very fit and very fulfilling sort of a lifestyle. But Ganesh, as per your understanding, what do you think? I mean, is it okay if I call you coach instead of Ganesh? Because
You can call me. You can call me by any name. I wouldn't mind.
So, coach, maybe that'll make much more sense. And Varun, even you could sort of add to this where we are sort of trying to create what sort of say what is the crucial importance of having say fitness or maybe having a regular healthy lifestyle in terms of how does it affect a normal human. Like for instance, I've been say fat almost all of my life, even so I am today, but much better in a better position. But maybe from a headspace standpoint, what do you think are various say important facts that'll really help you to transform not just from a physical standpoint, but what are the various things that comes in?
I mean, when I had like such sort of discussions with my seniors over this period of time,
Yes.
there was this one very, important sentence that I used to hear.
Right.
So one of them which used to hit me hard was like, if you want to help others, you should be in that state to help others. So
True,
you
true.
cannot like, say that, oh, I'll help you out and I'll be of some use to you unless you are in that state, unless you are in that
Correct.
physical state. Now, when we say physical fitness, it's merely, saying physical fitness, but then at the end of the day, it's all hormonal. Anything that you
Right.
do, you getting angry, you getting hungry, you getting tired, or you getting anything of that sort. Everything is hormonal.
Yes.
Now, all of this is because of your blood profile. Now, you getting fit is actually improving your blood profile, improving your hormonal profile, and eventually you become useful enough for people. You actually tend to help them more. You tend to serve the community more. Now,
Right.
I'm getting very sort of community centric, but then this is the fact. In the long run, it's always about how you help. Let's say like even if you're not very community centric, if you are an individual who's not very community centric, if you want to help your family as well. Let's say you are somebody who has a kid. How will you help? How will you like play with that kid if you're not
Makes
active
sense.
enough?
True, true.
So if you want to play with that kid, you should be active enough first. You should be having that stamina, that endurance to play with that kid. Now that you cannot like say that even though like he's hyperactive, I should like suppress him and
True. We tend to do
just
that.
because, yeah,
I mean,
we
yeah.
cannot. I
Correct.
cannot make that kid come to my energy level. Instead, I should be at his energy level because it is his time. So
Correct.
this was like one typical example. So if you want to understand the importance of physical fitness, just know this: that if you want to help others, be in that state first. That is
True.
like your fit self.
I mean,
And when we say
yeah.
physical fitness, it is not always about having those six packs or having the shredded body or looking bulky and beefy, muscular and all. But
Right.
even if you are like at a decent physique all the time, that's more than enough for you to go out and help others.
Makes sense. Maybe if you could also touch upon a few things in terms of how physical ailments are also typically cured. In your experience, have you had certain, say, mentees or clients who've come there for a specific ailment, saying that, you know what, hey, I have, say, blood pressure as a problem or maybe diabetes as a problem? How has physical fitness really helped them out?
Yeah, so the most common ones are diabetes, hypertension,
Yes.
the blood pressure that
Right.
you mentioned, and apart from that, you also have obesity.
Yes.
Now, obesity is actually a disorder. I mean, it's not a disorder, but it is actually should be considered as it should be considered as something that should be done under the supervision of doctors.
Right.
But even then, if you're like a little fat, which is almost on the borderline, you can reduce your fat levels, and then
Correct.
ultimately you can cure a lot of diseases which can come in line with that thing.
Yes.
So there were like many cases, in even in my experience, you can definitely, when you work out, you reduce your systolic pressure,
Yes.
thereby like reducing your blood pressure, controlling your blood pressure. I would say that's the right word. You improve your blood glucose profile, and actually, these things help you out when you are active enough in your day-to-day life.
Makes sense. Um, Maybe how about this as well? At a very different plane, maybe. Maybe let's talk something around spiritual, or maybe more of the inward side of things. So if I have to share my two satoshis on this, it'll be typically about how I sort of it helped me bring in that confidence which I was kind of trying to sort of yearn for, or try to sort of grab from somewhere. So in your experience, how does say uh, a fit lifestyle, how does that help in confidence? I mean, I know I'm sort of dumbing it down for a lot of people, but then I'm trying to sort of make it as simple as possible for everyone to understand that how important is fitness. I mean, not just at a physical level, but mentally and emotionally, spiritually. How does that typically pan out?
Yeah, so basically, if we talk science here,
Yeah.
so whenever you work out, you raise the serotonin level, you raise the oxytocin level, which actually makes you feel happy. Now,
Yes.
if I have to like tell you, and if you don't want to get into these technical terms, if I have to tell you like what these hormones normally do, imagine that you are like expecting your final year results, and then you were expecting 60%, you got 80%.
Yes.
The happiness that you get at that time, that's because of these hormones, the
Got
happiness
you.
hormones. So
Got
these
you.
hormones are actually raised when you work out.
Makes sense.
Now, when you are, let's say, depressed, sad, whatever it is, I mean, possibly sometimes you might not be able to get up from your bed and go to work out. But imagine if you just pushed yourself, you went to work out, you raise these hormones, you immediately feel the difference. You feel happy automatically.
True.
You feel
True.
happy within no time. Because of these hormones, you might probably think that just because I worked out, I crushed the iron, and that's why I'm feeling this way. But then scientifically, this is the reason you raise
Wow.
these hormones, and it actually helps you out. So this is how. And then once you become calm, you get focused, let's say
Right.
like for a few hours at least. But then if you keep doing it over and over again, you keep raising these hormones, you keep getting happy, you keep getting those happy hours every day.
Makes sense. Because the other day, what you just spoke about, me and Varun were discussing. I mean,
I actually love that phrase. That's the real happy hour that we should be looking forward to, not in the evening.
Before 8 o'clock, everyone's rushing to the bar for the
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
hours. Okay, that's also something. But I remember the other day while we were passing by Varun's gym itself, we were talking about that, right? I mean, uh, the more we push ourselves to lift more, the more you feel happier once you are back. I mean, there's some sort of a sense of achievement as well that you sort of try to derive out of it. So I get it from a very scientific standpoint. It's the hormones playing in, but then in your head also you're making those stories, right? I mean, you're lifting heavy on the deadlift, borderline about to injure yourself, but then still you sort of push yourself through. But I mean, that's something which for me has been very very helpful. How about you, Varun? I mean, what's your
Yeah, I
two
mean,
cents?
going back to the whole inward topic.
Exactly,
'cause
yeah.
In today's age, we're so fried with these instant dopamine hits all the time. You're
Yeah.
constantly on your phone, this
Correct.
and that, and if you've seen this thing, the attention spans have been kept on getting smaller, and the phone industries have been coping up with that to small it down like even
True.
further. So you had like people who can't even watch a minute long video to now 30 seconds to now 15 seconds. And
And-
even in 15 seconds, people are like fidgeting and just doom scrolling.
And
away to
here we
glory.
are, giving them the finger, making a 3 hour long podcast. But but
Correct.
nevertheless, I get it. Yeah.
So our whole sense of achievement,
Yeah.
which is our internal wiring, has been fried.
Right.
It's just rewired in a wrong manner.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing with like if you want to get rid of addictions and bad habits. Take smoking for an example. How people wire themselves is when they finish a tough task, they pull out a cigarette. So
Yes.
that's you wiring a cigarette into your reward system.
Correct.
When you have a meal, you want to have a cigarette. Okay,
True.
so that's again
So that's
internal
again
wiring.
a rewarding.
You're going through a tough time, blah blah blah. You have a stressful day at work, and Will's is the
Will's power.
Will's power, right? So same thing. So how people mess up their whole internal
Yes.
wiring.
Yes.
I think I agree to what coach was saying. That the whole the whole way to refresh or to reset all this is just go back to just living how our ancestors lived, pretty much.
True.
Okay, hunt, gather, and intermittent fast. Eat at this particular window for the most part,
Correct.
and lift heavy stuff up and put it
Exactly,
down. And
exactly.
that's I think your body internally rewards itself.
True.
When you do that.
So I'll share a small incident. I mean, Varun, you've met him. My mom's mama, my grandpa. So I mean, they don't come from a very, very big family background, right? So affording medical bills was kind of something which was very tricky. So at that moment, he said that, I'll buy weights. And this was, I guess, around 50 or 60 odd years ago. He still has those same 2 set of dumbbells and he's doing every day those exercises at home. Fit as a horse. He is around going to be 82 right now. Climbs a few flights of stairs every day. Goes out for Ganesh Chaturthi processions and everything. And he's very active in his living. So, I mean, having that lifestyle and, sort of pushing yourself that, it's not a task, but it's a part of your living. That's something which actually helped him to sort of cut those bills also. So I guess it was you or I guess Rolls Rowe who was telling me about this, that having a fit lifestyle is not expensive. Rather, you've never seen the medical bills because you've never actually seen the medical bills.
It's more expensive to be not fit.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
the thing. It
Yeah,
takes
yeah.
more money if you're not fit, and
True.
so that thing. So, coach, I wanted to ask you one thing. Like when you where you were telling that people have this perception when they grow up, while they're growing up through their teens and everything.
Yes.
They have these what they think of themselves, the self-image.
Right.
So I think yet another problem that lifting weights and the whole fitness journey solves is you improve your own self-image. Forget
Correct.
impressing other people. Are you happy or are
To
you
look in the
impressing
mirror
yourself?
Yep.
With
Right.
not just how you look, like it's not just aesthetic bodybuilding, with how you are mentally. Because
Exactly.
getting physically fit, before that you have to actually get the mentally fit aspect down.
Like you just said, right? The journey has to be inside out. It has to begin from within, then to your family, then to your community, and then maybe to the whole world as such. But first off, you need to help yourself. I think I couldn't agree more on that. Okay, so maybe not making those listeners wait more. Let's quickly jump into the 5 essentials that we have identified today. So we were right before the podcast. Me and Ganesh, we were talking about this as to what are the essential things that an individual can really look into in terms of their own fitness journey as such. So what would be the first one there, coach?
So I would say when we say like 5 essentials, we are saying 5 essentials because really following a fitness journey is not as difficult as it is portrayed over the
Yes.
internet. It's very simple, it's very plain, and very easy to follow pointers. So out of which the first thing that you should always be looking for is goal. Without goal, if you're
Goals,
following
okay.
something, it's like going nowhere, doing everything. So it's
Correct.
like you are going to gym, even if you're not going to gym, if you're like doing some yoga or any physical activity that you're probably doing, but if you don't have a goal, if you don't know like what you are looking for at the end, you have the tendency to leave it midways.
Makes sense.
So goal is the first thing that we should always be looking for.
So what typically would contain within the goal as such? I mean, what should one usually look out for as such?
Yeah, to simplify it, I would say like either you can look at it you can look for a short term goal or a long term goal.
Okay.
So and also like if you diffuse these long term goals,
Yes.
then you will realize that to reach that long term goal, you have to go through many short term goals.
Makes sense.
So let's take an example. Let's say if you are having a long-term goal. Let's say you want to compete somewhere. Okay, just
Right.
for an example, if you're not competing, that's okay. You can still have other long-term goals. But then let's say like you have a marriage coming up in the end of this year, or maybe mid of next year.
Right. Or Goa plans or something on
Yeah,
that side.
anything that's
Yeah,
like
the second he mentioned marriage, I could see the sweat right on your forehead.
Not yet.
so you can like break it down. I mean, if
Okay.
you have like 1 year from now,
Hmm,
let's call it
hmm.
a long-term goal.
Hmm.
Then the short-term goals can be on quarterly basis or monthly basis or anything.
Right.
Let's say you want to lose let's say 30 kgs from today.
Right.
Okay, we cannot like just go for 30 kg loss right from day one. Instead,
Correct.
let's break it down to 10 kgs. So if
Okay.
you are saying like I have to lose 10 kgs now, 10 kgs in the next iteration, 10 kgs in the last iteration, that
Okay.
becomes your short-term goals.
Makes sense.
Now the thing is that the initial days becomes very easy for you because you lose fat very easily.
Okay.
Because your body is not used to this stress that you are going to give now, and that's why your body
Right.
will respond very nicely as you want. But the next one becomes a little difficult. The next one becomes even more difficult.
Okay.
But what's the beauty of it if you are not going to through all this to reach your long term goal? At the end of the
True.
day, at the end of this year, you are going to reduce 30 kgs. You know that. Now, once you have lost 10 kgs, you get that confidence to go for the next 10. And once you
Right.
lose 20 kgs, you make up your mind saying that 20 kgs to lose kar liya, now it's just 10 more.
Exactly.
So this
Exactly.
is how
Yeah.
you keep going ahead. So these are like some example of short term and long term goal. I had like a few mentees with me who had like interesting short term goals.
Okay.
Even though we are talking only about weights, but then they had like very different goals. I had one mentee who just wanted to climb some mountain in
Oh
Himalayas.
wow. Right.
So she had only 3 months from now, and
Yep.
she was like, okay, why not go for some fitness regime in these 3 months?
Right.
So it was very interesting. She had no weight loss objective. She had nothing as such. She only wanted to be fit enough to climb.
Right. Right.
She wanted to. She also used to climb stairs just to see like how much endurance is left as of now. So she used to climb stairs and check. Okay,
Right.
fine. Now this is at this. I am at this stage now. I have to like go to the next level.
True.
So this is how people derive their short-term goals. So if you look around, if you look into your own self, you will realize that there are a lot of short-term goals waiting for you. You have always thought about them. It is just
Right.
about putting them into actions.
Makes
And
sense.
that's why you shouldn't like see the Instagram or YouTube and directly choose getting abs. It's better that you maybe lose 5 kgs first,
Right.
get your forms correct in exercises, maybe go and watch some people working out in parks or the gym, or maybe go attend some body shows or anything, and then you look for getting abs or anything in those lines.
I mean, not that it is wrong to have those as a goal as such. I mean, if
Keep
someone
them as
does
long
want to,
term. Yeah,
exactly,
keep them as long
exactly.
term. Yeah.
But on a very similar level, how I sort of look at this, uh, would it be fair to call, say, living a lifestyle of fitness as a long-term goal as such, or I mean, that
Yeah.
could be the central theme, or how do
Absolutely.
you look at it? from that
Absolutely.
side? Yeah.
Living a pain-free life has to
Correct.
be a long-term goal. So as you said, like your grandpa is now,
80.
going to procession and all. This is
Correct.
actually a long-term goal for him.
True.
We at our 30s, we just hope that we are that strong when we are 80s.
Exactly.
That's our long-term goal.
Exactly. That makes sense. But then again, now that you have sort of identified, say, you have a goal right now, what would be the typical next step after having the goal? What would be step 2, or maybe what would be the second essential here?
Yeah.
In your
So once
journey.
you have your goal, go plan for it. Like
Makes sense.
imagine like if you have to like do this,
Hmm.
what all steps you would need to do
Right.
this. So if I have to like let's say lose 10 kgs,
Yes.
what has to be my plan to lose 10 kgs? So maybe I'll focus on my diet, I'll focus on my exercise, I'll focus on my lifestyle. I have to
Right.
cut down on alcohol if I am one, and then I have to reduce junk food. I have to start bringing change in my life.
Yes.
Now nobody is saying that you have to change overnight, but gradually you have to, because your goals are in such a way that, and as you said, being fit is not very expensive. Being
Exactly.
not fit is more expensive.
Way more expensive.
So yeah, I
It'll
have to
cost
bring
you.
change for a bigger to look into the bigger picture. So
Correct.
I have to do it anyways. So plan is very essential. Planning is required to achieve to achieve that point.
But what all do you see in the nutrition part? Now, I mean, I know it can be a whole 10-hour long conversation in terms of what
Yeah.
is the right type of nutrition. Maybe we could do another podcast around that. But
Yeah.
but maybe say on a very 30,000 feet overview, if you have to say dwell a bit upon nutrition, say just for the listeners who are there, uh, how could you make, so I mean, what I'm trying to hint towards is depending on the different specific lifestyle as such. So, for instance, we have a listener who is, say, a student, and we have someone who is a mother. What sort of a lifestyle choices in terms of, say, if they're going out for a party as such, or if they're traveling, how do you segregate those aspects in your overall plan also? So maybe we can dwell upon it right now a bit, and for the next one, when we sort of talk more about nutrition, we could take a deeper dive. But how do you see the plan in terms of this?
Yeah. So basically, the basic idea is the more precise you are in counting your calories, the more precise
Right.
results you get.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that if you're not precisely calculating your calories, you're not going to get results. You will definitely get results even in that case. It's just
Right.
that you cannot precisely calculate the kind of results you will be getting. So if I know that, if I have to make you lose 2 kgs in, let's say, 2 weeks, I know how much calories I need to cut. And if you are willing to count those calories, you will lose 2 kgs in 2 weeks.
Right.
But if you're not willing to, cut down the amount of calories precisely, then maybe you will not lose 2 kgs. You might lose between a range. You
Correct.
might lose maybe 1 or maybe 2.5 or maybe 3. It doesn't. We cannot take a guess on it.
Makes sense. Makes
So,
sense.
if you ask me about different population group,
Okay.
the ones who are always traveling, I have like few mentees who are sales executives, so they are always traveling. So most of the time, what we do for them is we ask them to carry tiffin. So
Makes
if they are
sense.
carrying tiffin, or the amount of as much as they actually can measure or weigh their food, they do. But if they cannot, fine, no problem. The ones who are like traveling outstation, who are staying away from their house most of the time, or maybe let's say even if 50% of the time they are staying out of their house, we ask them not to count calories, but at least follow the food items which are there in their diet plan. So if I've asked them to like have rice, lentils, roti, veggies,
Oh, okay.
so these are something which you anyways get anywhere. These are like staple food anywhere in India, wherever you go. So it's just that you go there,
And maybe
choose these kind of food.
eyeball a bit.
eyeball
around,
a bit, yeah, because you might have already measured
Correct.
few times. So you go out, you just choose these kind of food. In terms of protein, you already know like these are the protein sources. You choose the
Right.
protein sources and done. Now, if you're going to a party, somebody's offering you a drink, do not drink. I mean, avoid as much as possible.
Right.
But if you are, then ensure that you do not exceed a limit. So that's like these are the basic ideas for travelers.
So someone the other day was telling me about this drinking thing, that it's not usually the drink that is the problem, but the chasers / in Hindi what you call as chakna
Um,
that you consume after it. I mean, you're craving
not-
for a lot of heavy on
and
calories.
you do not even realize how much goes in with that.
Exactly.
Secondly, alcohol, even if you consume alcohol,
Yeah.
it gives you no nutrient as such.
Correct.
So body consider it as toxic and tries to flush it out and gives it a
Yep.
priority. And in that situation, body do not deprioritize the other things, other
Yes.
digestion stuff.
I remember
That's
you were
why-
telling me.
Yeah,
yes,
and that's why you
yeah.
feel gastric, and the other day you feel indigestion issues and sleep
Correct.
issues and all,
Correct.
because body prioritizes flushing this toxic stuff out of your body.
Makes sense. So I mean, sure, for that moment you feel that you're
Yeah.
sort of enjoying, but from a long term standpoint, it's always been an issue, especially the next morning.
Yeah, so that's why the ones who who are like who are really alcoholic and who come to for to seek transformation,
Yeah.
we do not ask them to cut alcohol, but then we try to reduce their frequency, and eventually they still have, but then eventually they'll have once in 2 weeks or once in a month. And somebody who's having once in a month, he's like, he's almost close to like, quitting it.
So I remember this one dialogue from Simpsons, wherein Homer Simpson, who is kind of a chronic alcoholic, he says that someone asks him, "Why are you drinking so much? Isn't that going to be a problem?" So he very cleverly says that it's tomorrow's Homer Simpson's problem. Today I'm going to enjoy right now. So I mean, I know it is at a very different level, but then it is still a problem, right? Even
Yeah.
if it is tomorrow's Homer. So it basically means your future is nicely
Yeah.
set up for certain
Now, the
problems.
chronic alcoholic is altogether a different
Correct.
plane. They require treatment, but then the ones who have that will to just quit it,
Yeah.
and who are not drinking every day, but then
Yeah.
they are just frequently having it. Like we cannot like term how frequent it is, but then let's say they are frequently having twice in a week or
Yeah.
once in a week. They are still called frequent ones.
Right. I mean, after a point, you get different high from the fitness. You just don't seem
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Your own results motivate you. So
Exactly. But coach, there's one thing which I don't think you touched upon, because I remember during my journey with you, there was something which was very crucially pointed out and very sort of undermined severely by a lot of people. That is walking. You used to tell me to sort of complete a particular amount of steps.
correct.
Even though you are doing cardio the same day or something of that sort. How does that typically work out?
So yeah, that also brings us to touch upon the other population group, which is housewives. So
Yeah.
normally what happens is fat burning is a complex process. It is not
Correct.
something which is readily available. Body has to like put effort, burn it, extract calories out of it, and then provide you with energy.
Correct.
Now the thing is, when a body has to do it, it actually, just because it is a slow process, it cannot do all of these things when you are doing something which requires urgent energy requirement. For
Right.
example, you are running a sprint, 100-meter
Okay.
sprint.
Okay.
Body cannot like give you fat immediately, so that requires you to have some other energy source. Now
Right.
similarly, let's say you have an animal in front of you, wild animal in front of you. Body cannot like wait for you to wait for you to give more time to generate energy and provide it to you. It's not
Makes
possible.
sense.
You will immediately run from there, fight or flight situation. So in these cases, body will not burn fat. When body will burn fat is only when you are doing some low intensity activity which is easy, and body has enough time to produce energy and give it to you. For example,
Right.
walking. It can be walking, can be cooking, it can be cleaning your house, it can be
Makes sense.
even sleeping. Sleeping is like one of them. Even if you're sleeping,
Right.
there's no rush in energy production. So body takes its own sweet time and gives you energy. In these cases, you burn fat, and that is the reason whenever you're walking, you burn a huge amount of fat.
Because it is severely undermined by a lot of people in
Yeah.
terms of walking. Everybody wants to jog, run. So
Yeah.
I, for one, have say a weak knee. My left knee was an accidental one. So doing running and maybe skipping or hopping, also for that matter, does tend to increase the pain over there. But I clearly remember you telling me that just go for walks, and those were never those brisk walks which I would typically take. It was so easy to sort of typically put in at least 5 to 6,000 steps every day. But what would be a typical recommendation that you would give to our listeners that, why not track, say, a particular amount of steps?
Right. So I think this is a very debatable number. Now the thing is that we cannot really recommend a number to anyone. It depends on your comfort level. I have had mentees who cannot even walk 3,000 steps, but then when they started walking 3,000 steps, just 3,000 steps, they started burning a huge amount of calories, and then in a matter of like a week's time, they started losing 1 kg to obviously they were weighing a lot more. Now when they are weighing a lot more, they have potential to lose more. And now imagining like they are huge physically, it becomes very difficult for them to even make them walk. If they are walking, they might have knee issues. and that's why we cannot recommend more numbers. But then if you are young, if you are healthy, try to target 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, whatever minimum you can, and then keep increasing every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. That's the best way to go forward in terms of steps.
Yeah, do you tell them to go to IKEA and check out all the floors? So
I
this
wish
friend
they
of mine from Karjat, who he
Yeah.
weighs like 142 kilos. Okay,
Oh,
He's
Okay.
like, dude, I can't believe I did 12,000 steps today
Whoa.
because he's just walking in IKEA for like 2 hours
yeah.
the whole time.
So that's why, like, I also like recommend some of my mentees to just hear podcast and walk. You'll not even
Oh, yeah.
realize how much you'll walk.
Big shout out to
I
the
was
VAbE
telling you, like,
podcast.
I was watching those Greg O'Gallagher videos, and he's like,
Yeah.
so pick a spot 20 minutes away from your house. Just walk till there. And after you're there, then the second part of the video is like, watch this video after you get to that spot. And now when you watch the second one, it says, oh, too bad, you're 20 minutes away. Now walk back home. And that's about 10,000 steps. You just pick a spot,
Correct.
20 minutes away, walk, and then so a 40-minute walk
So-
should average out to 10K steps.
So I remember meeting up with Rolls Row during that point. There was this place which was around 2 kilometers from my house. I used to usually take my bike out and go there, but then what I had decided, and Rolls Row very cleverly used to come via a Rick or would get his bike out over there. I would either cycle down or majority of the times just to complete my steps would walk it up till there and walk back. And this was kind of in the night. We would meet there, maybe have a diet coke or something of that sort, and just get back. So that really helped me in terms of at least putting in those steps, right? So like you said, 2 hours of continuous walking does get you those 12,000 in, but it becomes a tad bit tricky to do that unless you're at IKEA.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But then you can always choose to have certain such activities, right? You go out to malls, or maybe you walk up, say, a flight of stairs instead of taking the lift or something of that sort. Maybe making those smart decisions all along the way during your plan would certainly make a lot of
Yeah,
sense. to you.
minor changes in every small task.
Exactly. Maybe 1% change
Correct, yeah.
every single day. All right. So the third one that we sort of try to come up with was the discipline and the consistency part. How is that an essential aspect? I mean, if you could sort of bring that in also.
Yeah. So once you have a plan, now
Yep.
a plan is of no use if you're not following it.
Exactly.
And nobody is asking you to follow to the T, but at least follow 80% of the time, 70% of the time. Better than 0%, right?
True. Any
Follow
day.
it for 70%, 80% of the time, and you'll get results. When I say you are getting results, you will get results which are probably not of the like the person who is following 100%, but still you shouldn't compare yourself with him. Compare yourself when you are at 0%, and
Correct.
compare yourself then to yourself now.
True.
So you will see a difference in you for
Makes
sure.
sense, makes
And
sense.
as we just discussed a minute back, smaller changes that you're bringing every day, that is automatically put you on track on a daily basis. So if you have like, if you have to climb, if you, let's say your office is at second floor, third floor, fifth floor, it's very easy for a human to like climb till fifth floor. Obviously, like there are exception, medical cases,
Correct,
the issues
correct.
and all. But then if you are a healthy individual, why do you even need a lift? Like, try to climb stairs unless you have like valid reasons you're getting late for meeting or anything. But then I don't think the amount of time you'll wait for your lift,
Right.
you'll anyway save your meeting.
At least for a floor. I remember
Yeah.
a few folks just taking the lift for the first floor also. That was very funny.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, I have been with people. I was not the most dedicated one, disciplined
Yeah.
one initially, but then I was with such people. Also, this also plays a part, your community, your people around you. If they are disciplined more than you, you get disciplined automatically because you are influenced by them.
Correct.
So I was like, very fortunate enough to be with such people who used to climb 13 floors.
Wow.
Okay, we used to climb 13 floors stairs.
Yeah.
Even though we had left, we used to climb 13 floors. And just because he would think like, oh, I would get bored or something, that's why he used to keep talking to me. And I was so out of breath that I used to feel that, I will not talk, let him talk, I will just climb. But then over a period of time, I realized that even when he's talking, now that I am probably in his shoes, now I understand that even at this fitness level,
Yeah.
if you're constantly talking while climbing 13 floors, you will, get out of breath. So to motivate me, he used to do that, and I was like feeling that now. So if you have the point I'm trying to make here is, if you have people around you like that, who are like better than you, who are more disciplined than you,
Yes.
you definitely get some traits from them. So you build a community like that. If you think like people are not motivating enough around you, either you change and motivate them, or you change, or maybe you get into some
You're in
other
the wrong
circle
room.
too.
It,
Yeah,
it basically
you
means
get
you're in the
into
wrong
some
room.
other circle too. I'm not
Correct.
saying like you leave your childhood friends or something, but then you also like find another group who actually motivates
Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Have a gym group, have
Correct.
a tour group, have your
Something
own.
that
Yeah,
adds to your journey.
yeah.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So these are the things that you which actually helps you build discipline. More than that, I would say, ensure no matter what, how your day is, how your mood is,
Yeah.
try to hit the gym. Or
Right.
if you're not going to the gym, whatever activity you're doing, going to the park, running, skipping ropes, or calisthenics, whatever you're doing, just do that every day. Even if it is not complete, even if you're not completely motivated that day, even if you're not completely energized that day,
Yeah.
just go look at people who are actually doing it, do 10% of that, and come back. That's
Makes sense.
fine.
Makes sense. No, because I remember if I ever was groggy enough to hit the gym, I might just go there for 5 minutes and be back, just so that my
Yeah.
habit doesn't really go there. So I mean that as a discipline I had maintained, but for the last 2-3 weeks I have been slacking a bit. Yeah, I need to get back on the horse. Maybe say tomorrow is the day, perhaps. But I guess discipline from that particular angle of waking up every morning, having a set routine and following the routine as such. I mean that plan that you've created, and sort of keeping a very strong check onto your plan really helped me, because I remember you had devised a very very sweet and simple plan for me, and it wasn't really complex, even though even in terms of lifting. Now there were certain habits which I had to inculcate to make sure that my plan works even more stronger. Say for instance, one was the quantified nutrition, which you helped me inculcate. The second one which you helped me was, I remember, something called as Fit Notes. Now this one is for all the listeners. Fit Notes is a very simple app. Anyone who hits the gym can sort of devise their daily workout plan over there, and typically measure each and every time how much volume that you lift. By volume I mean how much repetitions are you doing, how many sets are you doing, and how much weight are you lifting. On a weekly basis, that would give you the amount of volume that you had trained for. And here you don't really need to remember that last week how much did I lift in my bench press, or how much did I do for my barbell curls or something of that sort. It is there on the app for you, and that is where you can slowly and steadily push yourself to where you want to reach towards as well. So I think that now the tricky part here is maintaining the app itself. The app wouldn't really calculate on its own, right? You need to put in the data over there. So the discipline of uh, right after every set, or maybe after say
Every
maybe after a
session, maybe,
few
yeah.
sets, if you can just put in those information over there, it only helps you out to sort of measure your own success. So whatever is measured is managed, right? So
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean
And
that was one discipline which
also like
helped
if
me.
you want to
Yep.
check on other areas of your improvement, and not
Yes.
just weight, not just your weight on your weighing scale.
Correct.
This is like one other parameter where you can always check your improvement.
Yes, yes, yes. That makes a lot of sense. But
Yeah.
but apart from that, say certain other discipline habits, maybe how much of screen time do you want, or does
It
that really
Yeah.
typically
So
help you?
I mean, these were uh, I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but then
Yes,
looking at a versatile crowd, I would always say that do whatever suits you, do whatever suits your professional life. There's no need to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to be called disciplined.
correct.
Just ensure that even if you're sleeping at 3 in the night, complete 8 hours of sleep, get up, get going with your day. Take out 1 hour from your day for your physical self, for your workouts, and keep active the entire day. That's it. It is as simple as that. The problem with the current situation is, people will not believe your plan or your opinion if it sounds very simple. So they think that simple things do not work. That's not how it is. You only get changes with basic things. The advanced ones are only for the people who are either stepping on stage, or either they are like looking for competitive
Yes.
um, performances and all. But otherwise, if you are if you fall into a general population who do not want to step on stage or do competitive lifting or anything, basic plan works for you. Do not stress more on complex opinions, advices over the internet. Just eat
Makes
right,
sense.
take out some time from your day to work out,
Yeah.
complete 10,000 steps, change your habits of taking lifts whenever possible, walk wherever possible, all these things. Yeah.
And how much of importance is it to have a very healthy conversation with yourself while you're trying to discipline? Because discipline, usually people take it as a very wrong spin to it, right? They say that oh, I missed today's workout, so I'm indisciplined, so I should leave everything and maybe go back to my older ways. Because I remember this one statement very, very categorically, and it kind of got imprinted. uh, you told me that Virat, you took so many years to reach at a particular weight level that you are, and you have a goal to reach to someone. Don't you think it is fair enough to give it that much amount of time? So
Right.
how does discipline, patience, and all these things really sort of join together?
Yeah. So that again brings us back to the previous topic, that
Yeah.
short term and long term goals.
Correct.
If you have a short term goal, time box it. Let's say like
Correct.
you are time boxing it to 3 months.
Yep.
3 months, set a realistic goal. I'm not saying in
Yes.
3 months you should set a goal which is not very realistic. So set a realistic goal and go for it. Have When I say patience, have patience for that short term goal. Have patience for the long term goal as well. Both of them.
Right.
So I think like it's as simple as giving it enough time and knowing that your body is not really a clay. It'll take time and beatings and everything.
True. True. But how? I mean, one part was how do you really have that maybe that will typically take us to the next one, which is motivation. That how do you really the next essential that we are talking about, trying to talk about, is motivation. How does motivating yourself, I mean, what sort of a self talk really helps? Because I know there's going to be physically, you're going to be in, say, pain, if for lack of better words, but it does pay out at a longer stretch. That I understand on that particular standpoint. But usually as a person, at an individual level, you're self cursing yourself, saying, hey, you're not motivated, hey, you're this, you're that, you're a bad person, so and so, or whatever, you're name calling your own self. So what sort of a motivation does one derive from within, and how does that typically work out?
So sometimes, as you said, like if people do not do not follow a routine for one single day, and they think like they're out of
Yeah.
track, they're thrown out of track, they're not disciplined.
Correct.
But the real definition of not being disciplined is if you're not on track one day, and if it cascades to other days, an entire week, an entire month,
Yes.
you're not disciplined. But if it just stops there in 1 day, 2 day, you are again back on track. Building muscle require time, building fat require time. You cannot build fat in just 2 days or a week. It
Yeah.
takes time, it takes enough time. So even if you are not on track for a week, even if you're not track for like few days, it's
Yeah.
okay, come back on track. That's okay. You have not deviated way far from your current situation. So more than being motivated, be realistic. Just
Right.
know that what is happening with your body. Just know your body well. Know that your body is not going to build fat very quickly or lose muscle very quickly. So even if you want to lose the actual muscles that you have built, it
Yeah.
requires more than 2 weeks, 2 or 3
Okay.
weeks. So it doesn't you do not lose muscles very soon. So it's okay if you come back on track within a week or two. That's fine. But secondly, if you also think about really motivating yourself,
Yeah.
always talk to yourself like, why have you started this in the
Exactly.
first point?
Exactly.
If you have started this for the goal that you have
Yeah.
in the long run, just know that and imagine yourself that in that situation that you have imagined yourself, you will not look the way you have thought of when you follow all this thing. Instead, you will see yourself in exactly opposite personality of yours in that
Makes sense.
situation. So if you imagine the good side of yours and the bad side of yours, let's not call it good or bad. Let's call it like the disciplined side of yours and undisciplined side of yours,
Yes.
you will realize that I don't want to be this person.
Right.
Secondly, as we already discussed, that the best motivation that you can always get is not being fit is very expensive. If not now, then in few years. And it's
Absolutely.
pretty
Absolutely.
evident nowadays that child obesity is on the rise. People are getting joint issues in early
Correct.
ages,
Correct.
30s, even in 20s.
Yes.
I had few mentees who were like having joint issues in 20s,
Wow.
starting 20s, early 20s. Obviously, it can be like hereditary as well for some.
Right.
But then some of them,
They
they
are
are so
lifestyle
sedentary.
issues.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
so sedentary,
Yeah.
and we should blame our work culture in current times.
Correct.
But we cannot like always blame them. Even if our work culture is like that, nobody is going to come and see us when we are bedridden.
Correct.
It's always us. So we should be completely taking the onus of our health, no
Makes
matter
sense.
what. Like no matter where we are employed, even if we are employed in some organization which asks us to work for 15 hours a day, doesn't
Hmm.
matter. We should take out time for our own health.
Correct. 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 That makes a lot of sense, because people tend to sort of give a certain weird set of reasons just so that they can avoid the so-called quote unquote pain. But then the pain from a longer term, it's real bad.
Yeah, it is.
Sure, that does make a lot of sense. Maybe coming to the final and the fifth essential point is what we had thought of is habit building. How does one do that? Because I remember you helped me a lot in this. Very specific incident I'll share with you with the listeners as well. So I have a very strong sweet tooth. All right. So I mean, seeing say a piece of chocolate, or seeing say maybe say a sugary drink, or say anything for that matter, I would automatically, sort of put my hand out there and just grab it and sort of eat it up, and then feel very shitty about myself about it. But then I remember you were still always, telling me that's okay. Let's include some in your diet so that you don't feel that it is lost altogether. And slowly and steadily, I could really work on that particular aspect. So now still I do have a sweet tooth, but then I am in control of it. It's not that the habit is in control of me. So how do you sort of typically build those habits? I mean, I would love the listeners to know from you, coach. So how do you think about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So habit building always begins from smaller tasks. So let's say you start doing. So let's say you started one fine day you woke up and then you thought like, from tomorrow I'll follow this regime. From tomorrow, what are the activities that you're going to do as part of this regime? Forget about following diet, forget about doing exercises, forget about everything that are like primary to this.
Yeah.
Think about the things which your subconscious mind will be doing. That can be like climbing stairs again. That can be like, let's say you are planning your day ahead. So it's not like you enter the afternoon and then you think, oh, what should I eat in the afternoon? It should
Yeah.
not be like that. You should pre-plan your day in advance. So that's like one habit building that you do. Other habit building can be whenever you are, let's say, on a call, you take out time and walk. You do not
Right.
want to separately dedicate time for walking. Instead, you embed those walking time in your
Right.
lifestyle itself whenever you get time. So
Yeah.
this can be one other habit building. Another habit building can be when you are again like dedicating time for your sleep. That's like another habit building. So very small tasks that you do on a daily basis can be counted as habit building. And if you build your habit over a period of time, you would not require motivation at all. So
True, that makes
that's so either you start chasing motivation, watch motivational video, or you build your habits and then get rid of all that motivation thing which is short lived. Habit building is always long lived. Seeking motivation from these videos which you don't even know like whose videos are they and
Yeah.
how they have shot, what is the background around it.
Correct.
Adding some background song to it and then calling it a motivation. Instead of that, build a habit, look at
Yeah.
yourself, be your own motivation. Just know that you are improving. The last month you were like doing maybe 2 push-ups, now you're doing 5 push-ups. That's the
Exactly.
motivation.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
the real motivation for you, not something which
Not
is on
someone else.
YouTube
Yeah, correct.
looking.
So maybe I think
drama.
motivation part is very, very personal, and
It's very,
it
yeah, it's
makes a
very
lot of sense.
correct. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
I agree.
short-lived, I would say.
Correct.
If you are, let's say, like you're going to the gym, you want that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Go watch a YouTube video, and then that rush ends in 2 hours and then done. But then don't think that you watched a video now and then you will be motivated for an entire month. That will not
Correct.
happen.
That makes a lot of sense, because I also remember one more statement which you had made very distinctively, that fitness is a lifestyle. Don't take it as a very short term, that I'm going to do this for the 3 months, and next 8 months I'm going to go crazy with whatever I want to eat and whatever I want to drink.
Unfortunately, that's the case majorly nowadays.
Correct.
People are just trying to lose weight only for an event.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
every time I get to like hear to people, I always ask them like, why do you want to do this? And people,
Yeah.
many of them are like, I have some event coming up. I want to
True.
travel to India. If somebody is outside, I want to travel to India. I want to surprise them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, what do you want to do next?
Right.
They're like, afterwards I'll think. So they have no plans after that.
Because as you wake up every day, you guys go, everyone, I mean, the listeners, you guys go for brushing your teeth, right? So it should come as that. I remember this also.
Yeah,
You should tell me.
brushing your teeth, taking shower, and
Correct.
combing hair, everything. Like
Yeah.
you are listening to music, tapping your feet. Nobody's
Correct.
asking you to tap your feet. You're doing it.
Correct.
It's like something which is very naturally coming out of you. That's how your routine should be.
Makes sense. This is right then. I guess these were the 5 essential points,
Yeah.
possibly. So just to take a quick recap, that is goal, plan, discipline, the
Motivation.
discipline with consistency,
Correct,
motivation, and finally habit building. But apart from this, Ganesh, maybe taking a very different step once you are right now talking about music, maybe for our listeners, what is the typical playlist you would usually have, say, once you are at the gym, second when you're maybe walking or sort of traveling or something like that? So what's your jam?
So I am like a very I'm a person who fantasizes finance.
Okay.
So I always like try to stay aware about what's happening in our country in the economics and
Yes.
all. Very boring subject though, but then it's
For
yeah.
maybe some of them, but it is interesting for sure.
Yeah, so I just
Yeah.
keep myself updated about it and what's happening, all these business case studies and all.
Yes.
I keep listening to their podcast. Now anything that helps me complete my steps
Correct.
are in my playlist. So these are like the ones most of the time in my playlist. If you talk about my walking playlist, now if I'm in the gym, it can range from Kishore Kumar to
Oh, nice.
like Linkin Park, anything, any day.
So what's that only music that you'll play for lifting your personal record in terms of, say, a deadlift or a squat?
So there's like this one song which I normally play, Dark Side from Alan Walker. So I
Okay.
normally play that on high volume and
Yeah.
sometimes also like go to the lo-fi part of it and then listen to both versions.
That's nice. That's nice, because that's been really really helpful. Varun, how about you?
We'll introduce some heavy metal albums to Coach and then
Oh,
ask him how the workout was. It probably.
All
like,
that remains. And
oh, I just set a new PR. Where were you guys all this time?
Maybe breaking all the PRs right there. How about you, Varun? What is your jam at the gym?
It's I figured out whatever people listen to in the gym. That's what I was listening to anyway. Like
Okay.
we all grew up on rock music,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So it was a lot of that. I have this very nice gym playlist. Although I need to get back to the gym properly to execute that. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of like rock music and
Correct.
music that gets you going. Take the entire Rocky soundtrack, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
That's
just
just-
enough
just
enough
there.
stuff right there. Eye of the Tiger.
I remember the other day at the gym, DDLJ, someone was playing. I'm like, why
They
would you
they
even
play
do
very
that?
very bad songs at the gym.
It's
Yeah.
scary, man. It is going to pay you out if you guys have a very good set of Bluetooth earphones, man. That really helps out. It's so darn difficult. Maybe coming towards that section of our podcast where we talk about the resources that one could really consume. So, Coach, what would you recommend in terms of, say, video resources, say podcast, books, or maybe say certain websites? What would you typically recommend for all the listeners to sort of go on if they are sort of trying to go for their journey? But one thing which I would personally would want to add, maybe I'll do it after Coach spends some time on it, and maybe we'll sort of create something there also.
Yeah. So in terms of resource, the sad part now is that over the internet, you normally have so many videos, so many resources, so many Instagram influencers.
Yes.
So people get confused. They do not really understand like what to consume and what not to consume. One
Correct.
influencer will say A is correct. One influencer will say A is not correct. So they get confused, and
Yes.
I totally understand sailing in the same boat few years back. So it's better that you go with someone who always gives you explanation with science-backed
Correct. Correct.
research papers. So I have always liked Jeff Nippard's.
Oh, he's very good.
His channel. He has podcasts and videos, both
Correct.
of them.
Correct.
I have always liked Lane Norton's videos, and an Instagram page as well. He's on Instagram as BioLane.
Yes.
I have also liked Renaissance Periodization. Me being a fitter coach, I have also liked fitter contents as well.
Yes.
Fitter contents and also like very nice. Their infographics, they have like.
Oh, that's very clever. Those
The infographics.
right?
They do it like for to ensure that the engagement.
Oh, and it's funny also at
it's
a
funny,
lot of times.
It is very engaging. Yeah.
It's very engaging for sure.
So that's like one of these resources that I would always vouch for.
Yeah.
And coming to podcast, so as I said, like being very fantasized about finance, I also like keep hearing to these research papers on Spotify.
Okay.
So that's so if you are like looking for these strength podcasts, you can go for Stronger by Science. That's like one of the podcast channels.
Okay.
You also have Renaissance Periodization's own podcast, RP Strength podcast. That's what they call it.
Okay.
If you are like very much interested in powerlifting, you can go for Peak Speak. Peak Speak is like
Speak,
one
okay.
of the podcasts. It's very popular. I think it is like on number 2 in powerlifting
Wow.
podcast channels.
Okay.
Yeah, these are like very good resources one could look into.
No, something which I think I was trying to say, one specific aspect in terms of resources which would be helpful is having a very strong accountability partner. Now that typically just doesn't mean that you have a friend, you tell him, or you go on Instagram and post every day. That's one way of doing it. But one I would definitely recommend is if you do not know how to get things done, get someone to help you out. So like I have been working along with Ganesh in terms of setting up my overall structure, and he knew everything what I would really typically require, and that is, I mean, I would say I'm adhering to it at around 60% right now, but in my peak it was at absolute 100%. So I mean, having a coach does make sense. At the same time, there was Rohit Pandikar, if you're listening to this one, you remember that we were actually each other's accountability partners. We would ask each other, have you posted the videos? Have you put in your weight in the morning on the app? And sort of ask if your diet is working for you or not. Were you craving for some sweets? So I mean, these smaller questions keeps us in typical check, because initially you might think that you don't need someone, you don't want to tell someone about your own journey, but then it usually helps as a part of maybe a single person, also as a part of an accountability standpoint. So having that as a resource is very, very crucial. Not just someone who is into your fitness as such, but then also to be able to support your good causes and call out your bullshit, the way I see it. So
Yeah.
maybe that would be one very, very strong resource for all the listeners.
And when you have like an accountability partner,
Yeah.
you know that at the end of the day, you have to talk to him, and then
Correct,
you
correct.
need to like update him,
Correct.
and that's what like keeps you pushing
True.
throughout the day.
And you're in return, you're doing the same thing to the
To
other
the-
person
yeah.
as well. So I mean, it's kind of a win-win for the both of you. So maybe identifying one or two people in your own community, or your own family or friends, or maybe someone who's even overseas, if you can just technology has made everything come closer, so you can easily text someone and say that, hey, I did this, and this is my result, and this didn't work out for me. So that makes a lot of sense in terms of the accountability, right? So maybe these were the typical set of resources and the overall thing. So yeah, maybe coming towards a natural progression and towards the end of the podcast, Varun, would you want to sort of add, maybe I forgot, would you want to add some resources that you would also typically
I
recommend?
mean, you already have the best list already given to you.
Yes.
For me, I'll tell you, it was. But now coach has dispelled even that. So I was going to say, boom, coach, when he talked about motivation,
Yes.
where there's this sudden adrenaline surge
Correct,
when
correct.
you're watching the video,
Yeah.
which is a voiceover with some cinematic background score. He just dispelled, like, he's just like, okay, these are the ingredients. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
So for me, it was I think watching the first Thor movie back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Okay, when it came out, and Chris Hemsworth was like really jacked, and then he kept on getting more jacked and jacked. So
Correct.
so resources for me. So I saw his trainer he runs this app called Center Fit, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, which they used Chris Hemsworth's face to market that app. I mean, he was very involved. He's
Yeah.
set up the whole thing and everything, and then they sold it off to one of the Shark Tank techie guys for like 200 million.
Whoa.
That's a business thing also. So talk about marketing, man. So videos from that app were really
Yeah.
nice, from that channel. So I would actually say just watching Chris Hemsworth's trainers videos like helped a lot. And then it was this channel called Kino Body, Greg O'Gallagher.
Yes.
And so he was more on the verge of you don't have to go extremely into the whole powerlifting space, the whole intense workout phase. His thing was more reverse pyramid training, training 3 days a week, and you don't have to like completely live inside the gym and only eat chicken and broccoli, and just be completely a gym rat all the time and just do that. He's like, just go live your life, just come back, hit your workouts, hit your nutrition, and then carry on with your life. You don't have to like make it super complicated, but make sure that you're doing this
Correct.
along with whatever that is happening in your life.
That's nice. So I mean, finding out that right set of resources which makes sense to the listeners also is going to be really the key. But surrounding yourself with the right sort of people, and also even images for that matter, like you just said, Chris Hemsworth was one. I mean, these are certain goals which you see that maybe I could reach, say, somewhere over there or something like that. So this keeps me pushing. I remember at one of the gyms, very very funny. There was one guy who would always make a rep, and he would grunt Arnold Schwarzenegger's name every single time. So he would go, one Arnold. I mean, that was the motivation for that guy. You guys can be like him. It's perfectly fine. But then we were having the time of our life with our laugh. So, but yeah, that was the beautiful one there. So maybe coming towards the natural progression of the podcast in terms of the end. And this has been a very, very resourceful, I would say, sort of an episode for us. So for all the listeners, thank you so much for being around and sticking around till the end of the podcast. And here's a special gift for all of you right after the podcast. And for all of you who are looking out for a very good coach, you could certainly hit up Coach Ganesh, and his information, as I mentioned, is there in the description below. Feel free to reach out to him. Very, very amazing person. He knows his things and would definitely recommend. And yep, thank you so much, everyone. And yep, that's the music for you. And that was the VAbE podcast. And thanks.
You just heard the VAbE podcast. And this is us signing off, leaving you all with a beautiful, beautiful track. Music credits in the description below. Find us on the major platforms by Google, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Links in the description. Show us some love in the comments below. And do tell us what you loved about our thoughts. This is us signing off yet again. Peace.
तुझसा